Hello there, my YouTube friends. So, gonna have another sort of update on how things are. I did say to you sort of last time round that I would probably end up having to probably look for another job, as I've had some of sort of the money that I was getting from being terminal stopped, because they're no longer sort of classifying us as terminal, even though they can't say that I'm not terminal fully, which is like a weird situation to be in, and it is a bit of a, like I said in the last video, it's a bit of a mind fuck for us. Um, but the news I didn't tell you about then, and I've held off and held off as long as I can. And at the minute, I still actually don't know fully, but I have been working for Amazon. I've been at work for Amazon for the last roughly 12 weeks, so I should technically be finding out before the end of this month. So obviously in May, I don't know when this will go up, but we're sort of just at near the end of May now. Where there's not many more days sort of to go. I think we've got another week or so left of May. So I should find out before the end of this month. I mean, technically I should have probably found out before now, but I don't know, because you get a 12-week sort of probationary period to see how it's going. But I have been working now for them for 12 weeks. I started on I believe it was the 28th of February, was my day 0 or day 1, which was a Sunday actually. So I actually work weekends, right? I work Friday, Saturday, Sunday and Monday. Then I have a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday off and go back again. So as you can tell by that, I work a 40-hour working week. So I'm working 10-hour shifts. I've got to say it's hard going getting back into it. It's really hard going. The work itself, it's not like it's massively hard, because it's not. But when you're doing it for 10 hours, it becomes a lot tougher. You know what I'm saying? For doing it for 10 hours. And technically you're there for 10.5 hours, because what you get is you get 2 half-hour breaks, but they take one of those breaks back by making you work the extra half hour. You know what I mean? So you're still getting 2 breaks, half an hour each one, but they take one of them back off you by making you work 10.5 hours. So one of them you're getting free, the other one you're having to work an extra half an hour for. So how that works is beyond me, because I would have thought you would have been entitled to more time in a 10-hour day than just half an hour break. But that's the way it goes. That's the way it goes. Like I say, the job itself, it's not like it's massively hard to do, depending on what section you're, because obviously where I am in Bourburn, which is the other end of Durham, it's an easy enough place to get to. I've got any issues with that. There is supposed to be a one opening up. I think it's somewhere between Gateshead and Washington. They're classifying it as Gateshead, I believe. But I think it's supposed to be somewhere between Gateshead and Washington, just off the A1. It's what they like to do. They like to put things just off of either dual carriageways or motorways, in order to make it quicker to get their stuff out and ship it to wherever it's got to go. And they have many different, obviously, jobs in there. I mean, if you ever go past Bourburn, this certain area you can't miss the Amazon site. It is absolutely feckin' huge, and I mean it's feckin' huge. To me, it looks like it's the size of, say, the Washington Galleries. If you've ever been to sort of the Newcastle area and know of the Washington Galleries, it's probably the size of the Washington Galleries, but there's 4 floors to this place, not just 2 like there is in Washington Galleries. There's 4 floors to this place. It's massive. The first floor is obviously the biggest floor, because that's where everything gets brought into and gets sorted out, and then gets shipped upstairs to the 3 other floors above for then to be moved around, put into the pods, and then when eventually somebody buys something, it gets moved to because what they've got. So this is the way of trying to think. What they've got is what they call it a robot section, right? It almost looks sort of similar to those hoovers that you can buy that do it themselves, but obviously a much bigger variant that lifts up a big, huge pod that moves sort of the stuff around that way. And one of the jobs I do out of the two that I've been doing so far, and one of them is you basically stand at an area. We have sort of maybe a row of about 6 boxes full of different sized items. Okay, so it could be something like hand drills, but you name it. I mean, you know what Amazon's got on their sites. Yeah, they sell just about everything. So what you can have is that. It's just basically anything, you know, in these different size thingies. The pods will come in front of your sort of side of your area. You've got to look at what you've got in front of you, have a look in the pod, see if there's space in the pod to put anything. And obviously the pods, what you're putting in there obviously has to sort of correspond with the pod size, i.e. you'll have sort of, the biggest ones are 18.5-inch pods. Okay, that's the sort of biggest size of the, anything that's bigger than that, that stays downstairs. It'll go on somewhere downstairs out the way until it's sold, and then it'll get shipped off from there. But anything that's sort of 18.5 inches in depth wise, that can go into a pod. So what you've got to try and do is you've got to sort of make sure that anything that's sort of 18.5, like between sort of 14 and 18.5, will go into the 18.5 pods. You have 14-inch pods, which means then there can be 11 to 14-inch stuff goes into those ones. You have 11-inch pods, which is your 9 to 11s. And then you have a 9-inch pod, which is your 6-inch to your 9-inch. And then you have 6-inch pods, you know, which are very small, which this is basically your 6-inch and below stuff. So obviously, whatever pod happens to come at the time, you look at that, you go, what size is it? Is there any space to put anything? Have a look at what you've got in front of you. If you've got an item that'll fit, you hit the button above the item to let it know, this is what I'm taking it from. You take the item out, you scan it underneath the scanner, it'll come up on the machine what the item is, so you're making sure it's the correct item, that it hasn't been misdone by whoever's brought it in. So you're checking it, you also check all the sides to make sure it's in good condition. Then you store it in the pod, because they've got like sort of cameras on the pods. So you store it in the pod, it knows where it's gone. You come back out. If you've got room for anything else, you do the same thing. You'll hit the button above the whichever box you're taking it out of, scan it, make sure it's the right item, put it in the pod. And you'll just keep doing that until there's no more room in the pod, whether that be 20 items, 30 items, 40 items, or even just one item. You know, sometimes you might even find there's no room at all to fit anything, because most of the pods in there are pretty much cram packed, you know, because it's been going a while now, the one armoured open. So that some of them are filled to capacity, you know, and you're just waiting for an item to be taken out in order for to get you more space to put something back in. So you might have to send that pod away and it'll disappear. Next one will come into thingy. Might be a 14-inch pod. You'll have a look at the items. You've also got like a row of boxes behind the ones that's in front of you. You'll have a look at those, see if there's anything you could put in it. If you can, bam, in it goes, off it goes, and you just keep doing that all day. All day for the 10 hours. You've got stairs, little sort of 3-step thingies to get up, because obviously the pods are sort of about, I would say they're about maybe just over 6 foot up, 7 foot up. So you've got obviously stairs to get you up, because they don't want you over stretching, because they obviously don't want you risking injuring yourself by trying to lift up something thingy. You're not allowed to put anything too heavy in the upper pods, because it'll then make the actual pod unstable. So, you know, your sort of heavier items go in sort of the middle few. The top ones are saved for the sort of more lighter items, to make sure that the pod can stay stable. That's basically like the main job I was asked to do. Recently, I've been asked to do a job where basically there's like a conveyor belt. I'll take the boxes off the conveyor belt, put them onto a basically like a trolley style thing, take them round to the actual people that are storing them, let them thingy so that they can pick them off when they want to. And then I go around and I'll collect all the empty boxes, because obviously once they've stored all the items out the box, they have to let the machine know, right, this box is now empty. They take it off, put it to one side to pull the next box into place, ready to keep on going. These are happening all the time. I mean, you're talking 3 floors of this going on. Okay, there's obviously a lot of people on each thingy, so you've got 4 sides. 3 of those sides are used for people storing and picking, packing, repicking stuff that maybe the sell by date or something may be coming up towards being expiring. They have to be pulled out, rechecked, thingied back up, and repacked if they're going to be repacked to sell off quicker. You know, so all those type of things are going on these floors all the time, and it goes 24/7, guys. You know, it's 24/7. This place never shuts. It's always on the go. There's always staff there, and there's always hundreds and hundreds of staff there. You know, and like I say, this is the second one that's already in the northeast. There's a third one now being built, and which is due to open up pretty soon. So I may look at getting a transfer to that one if it's closer, or easier to get to save us a little bit of juice. But like I was saying, the second job, I have to sometimes go up and down these alleys, picking up all the empty boxes, which you can only store so many on the trolleys, before taking them all the way back to another area to dump them off, so that they can be then resent somewhere else to get refilled again. Yeah, and that's 10 hours a day. Now, I put a pedometer thing on us the other day, literally just a couple of days ago, when I was actually doing this job, and it only recorded for just over 7 hours of us doing this 10-hour day. And I covered in that period of time 41,000 steps, which is the equivalent of 18 point something miles in that day. And it's 18 point something miles, and that, like I said, didn't even record me whole day. It recorded 7 hours of a 10-hour shift. But I don't know why it missed out the first bit of it, but it only recorded 7 hours of a 10-hour shift, and I'd done 18 miles of walking up and down these alleys, collecting the empties, taking fresh stuff down to them. And that doesn't include the fact of when I was standing still, having to actually take stuff off the conveyor belt, you know, which uses up muscle thingies and everything else it had. You know, by the end of a 10-hour shift, I am completely cream crackered. I mean, if you imagine walking 18 bloody miles in that day, it's incredible. It's an incredible amount of distance to travel. And I'm knackered, because it's like literally offloading stuff, unloading empties, taking them around to somewhere else, offloading them again, going back round, taking some stuff around to somebody, coming back round with empties, taking them somewhere else, and it's just constantly doing that. Even just doing the stone, it's a constant job. Now, luckily with the stone, every sort of, I think it's roughly hour, on your little computer screen that you've got, it'll come up with a prompt to get you to either stretch off or just take a few. I think it only works out, maybe it's about a minute, to just let yourself calm down, let yourself thingy, stretch off if you need to, or mentally get yourself thingied, and then boom, away you go again. You'll be doing it again. Yeah, I'm not going to criticize the company, apart from the fact is that the training was pretty bad. The training was sort of pretty much, it's probably as bad as any other place to work, to be honest, because when I went for Royal Mail was the same. They were bloody shite at that training as well. So this is pretty bad as well. These are pretty bad at that training. But you do eventually sort of pick things up and learn things. And I think even still to this day, some of the trainers and some of the leaders and some of the what's called the team leads and some of the staff, still you can ask them something and each one of them will give you a different answer, because nobody's taken in and given the definitive answer. Says, this is how it's done. This is how we want it to be done, to make sure it is done for quality control. Quality control will give you one thing of how it wants it to be done. The team leaders will give you another, because the team leaders are under thinking to get rid of as much as they possibly can straight away. Whereas quality control are going, no, where our job is quality. We want to make sure that when it comes back out of the system, it's in good condition to go to the customer. Whereas the other side of it is we need it stored. We need it put in the pod so that it's ready to go when a customer orders it. So the need to get a clarification there of how exactly they want things done in order to make sure we can do it correctly. That's I think one of the main focuses of contention, I suppose, with a lot of people is that we're told one thing by one person and another thing by another, and it's just like, hang on a minute, what do you want from us? Do you want this or do you want that? I need to know, because I don't want to be, one, getting into trouble off these for doing it one way, and then two, getting into trouble off yous for doing it a different way. I need to know which way I'm doing it. That's one of the only things that I can criticise them for, because other than that, they're pretty damn good. They're sort of fairly relaxed as long as you're hitting certain standards. They're pretty much relaxed. You can chat to the person next to you for a while if you want to, as long as, like you say, you're hitting your standards and doing what you need to do. They don't mind. Phones are only supposed to be used in emergencies, whereas obviously you will find a few people when they're waiting for a pod to come in, because sometimes if you've sent all the pods away that have been there, you might have to wait anything from 5 seconds to almost a minute and a half before the next pod might come in, depending on whether there's somebody in where the pods are, because nobody's really supposed to enter that area where the pods are, the robotic area, but certain people, because they need to go in order to, if anything's fell out the pods because people haven't put them in correctly, or they've just basically worked their way loose over a period of time, they need somebody to go in and pick it up in order to make sure that the things can keep moving smoothly inside of there. But when they are inside of there, all the pods slow right down or can stop completely while that person is walking around that particular area. So you could be waiting literally maybe a minute and a half to 2 minutes for a pod to come back your area if the person happens to be in your area picking up anything that's fell out, or anything that's sort of could potentially be a danger. So and that's good for them. Knee good if you're on the other side of it, which is like I call it floor walking. It's called indirect, but I just call it floor walking because that's what you're doing. You're basically walking the floor, giving out the stuff to certain people, collecting all the empties from everybody, and taking them to somewhere else. And it's a lot of distance traveling, like I've just always said. Like I say, I've been doing it now for 12 weeks, and I'm getting used to it. Okay, I'm getting used to it, but it's still hard on the joints. Okay, it's still hard on the joints. By the time I'm getting finished, which the dog's gonna jump off the chair. Go on and get off, son, if you're gonna get off. Go on, before you freaking damage something. Get off, you get off. It's a good lad. Right. So like I say, I can't remember what I was thinking now. Completely lost now. The dog's just knackered me thought process. So for me, by the end of the day, my left knee can be quite achy. My left hip joint can be quite achy, and my lower back can be thingy. Now, after my first week of doing it for 4 days, like when I had sort of, because the first 2 days was fine, was not next to any issues at all. I was fine. The first week when I'd done my first 4 days in, when I had me couple of days off, oh my god, I could barely walk on the first morning when I got up on my day off. I could barely bloody walk. I mean, I was literally in so much discomfort with my lower back that it was incredible. And I can only say that it was probably a good thing that at that time the gyms were shut. Not mentally wise, but for physically wise. I couldn't go to the gym, which was just as well, because I was literally just... In fact, it was that night. I think that night after my first sort of thingy, I got up at I got up from the chair at probably 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning, went to stand up straight to go to bed, and I almost collapsed with the amount of, I would say it's pain. It was pain. It wasn't just discomfort. It was bloody pain. It was so bad. I could barely stand up straight. I think I collapsed down onto one knee twice trying to get up to stand up. It must have taken us, is it dog catching the wire? It must have taken us almost a good 10-15 minutes to get from me sitting room through into the back kitchen door to let the dog out. That's how bad it was. It was just absolutely agonising. Started to ease after that. Then again, I got up the next morning and I was like, oh my God, I can barely walk. Yeah. After the 3 days, I was pretty much fine again, ready to go. Started the next week, got it done. And then, like I say, the body starts to get used to certain things, starts to get used to it a little bit more. And at that particular time, I'd only been doing the stone, so it was okay, and I got on with it. And it started to ease back off completely because my body was used to doing the stone. Then they asked us to do the indirect, or as I call it, the floor walking, and that hit us again. That's hit us really hard again, you know. Now you see me birthday thingy that I climbed Cat Bells. Ever since then, I've been doing a lot more of the floor walking than I have been doing the stone. My knee isn't getting the chance to recuperate at the minute. I'm really struggling with my knee at the minute because it's not getting the full chance it needs to recuperate. I think I've done, since coming back, I think I've only done stowing twice. The rest of the time I've been floor walking. And you know, you're talking about like 20 miles a day, roughly, possibly more, every time I'm there. So that's like maybe 3 days a week, because I have had a couple of days off. I did take last Friday off, I think it was, because my car was in the garage. I went in the garage on the Thursday, and they said that I wouldn't get it back till the Friday because there was a few things went wrong. That they said, look, if we didn't fix this now, your engine could end up blowing, because there's a massive hole here in the radiator, and it's starting to leak water, and it can at any time. So, but thankfully they were actually great, and they spent the time on it and got it out that same day, which I wasn't expecting, because they didn't think they could, because they had said that the part they needed wasn't going to arrive till late afternoon. It arrived early afternoon. They'd rushed it through for them, so they got it done. So I was well happy with that, but I'd already taken the day off on the Friday in order to make sure that I was going to be fine. So, but there you go, guys. Anyway, I don't think you want to hear me waffling on too much more. What I can say about them as well is that, which is one great thing, okay, in the one I work at, I don't know if it's the same for all of them. I would like to hope that it is. I'd like to hope that they're not treating anybody any differently. But where we are, obviously you have, in the downstairs part, there's a proper cafeteria. I think they sell different stuff in there, but I don't really know because I've never been down. I always take my own food. But in each of the floors, there's at least 2 to 3 sort of what I call bait cabins, the break rooms. Basically, to me, it's a bait cabin where you can go into. There's fridges in there where you can actually put your bait stuff and leave it in there, and nobody touches it. Nobody touches it. As far as I'm aware, nobody's ever touched anybody's stuff in these bait cabins, which I find is incredible, because when I used to work at Royal Mail, if you left something in a fucking bait cabin, the chances are you went to get it, it would be fucking gone. Somebody would fucking have took a bite out of it for fucking laughs and shits and giggles and stuff like that, thinking it's funny. And yeah, never gets touched. And 2, you can actually get, from the coffee machines, you can get a free cuppa. I mean, which businesses do that? Give you a free cuppa? Yeah, there's a lot of businesses that'll have kettles on, so you can brew your own if you take your own tea and coffee in with you. This one, the coffee machines itself, will give you free teas and coffees. And I think they do it because most people don't seem to abuse it. Most people might get 1 or 2 cuppas from it during a break. You know, I've never seen many of them sort of abuse that situation and getting like 3, 4, 5 cups of coffee out like that during a break. You get 1 or 2, and that's it. You sit down, you'll have your bait, you'll have your cup of coffee, your half-hour break, and then you're back to work again. And nobody seems to have abused that situation, which I think is amazing. I think it's great. And I think it's an amazing thing that they actually do that. You know, that they're going, hey, look, we'll give it for free. You know, there's not many companies I know that would do that. So like I say, I'm still waiting at this present moment in time to find out whether I've passed the probation period. I kind of see as not. Yeah, and most of them don't know about my situation. You know, there's only sort of a small amount of people in there actually know the fact that I've had cancer and I've survived it, and I've survived being basically classified as terminal and stuff like that. Most of them don't. I don't even think the HR know. I did mention it on a video call that we did have. I did mention it to them, but I've never sort of mentioned it since, and nobody's mentioned it to me. Nobody's come up to us and sort of asked us, you know, how you're coping with it, with what you've got and stuff like that. So it's a case of, you know, really they don't know, and I don't think they need to know. Yeah, it's like if it comes up in conversation, then fine. If it doesn't, well then fuck it, you know. I'll just get on with it and do what I can do. Yeah, but it is tough on the joints at the minute. You know what I mean? And I can honestly imagine it'd be the type of job, if you started it as an early career thing, that you wouldn't get right the way through till your retirement doing one particular style of thingy. So, because I can't even imagine me now, and I've just hit 50. I've literally, you know, you've seen me sort of birthday video the other day. I've just hit 50, and I can't see me being able to keep going until I'm fucking, what, 70 years of age or so, 75 years of age or whatever, doing that. Because I can imagine me, I'd end up needing a knee replacement or a hip replacement or something like that, because they'll eventually just give. You know, they'll eventually give out. But that's me personally. But because of the fact that I've trained for 30 odd year, I've got 30 odd year of wear and tear on there through lifting weights. So maybe for other people it's different. Maybe they won't have as many things. But I know for a fact there's a lot of people that aren't as in good a nick as what I am, and they haven't lifted weights in their life before, just because of just normal natural wear and tear in the body. Whereas I've got the muscle structure around us to sort of hold a lot of the stuff in place and keep it in a better condition. Yeah, so maybe that'll serve me well in the future. My training is having the odd difficulty with it, because obviously with us working the Friday and the Monday late, I'm not getting finished till sort of 6:30 at night. By the time I'm getting to the gym, it's 7 o'clock, and I'm already shattered before I even get to the gym. A Saturday and Sunday, when I used to train on a morning, obviously I can't get there at all because the gym's shut at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm not getting finished till 6 at night. So I'm missing the training on a Saturday and Sunday completely. That means I'm having to try and train everything in 5 days, which is easy enough to do. You can't get it all done. That's not like the hardship there. It's just more, I used to do 7 days a week. Yeah, I used to train 7 days a week because it's that much of a pattern for us. At the minute, I'm struggling to even get into 5 days because my body is that exhausted, and I don't want to exhaust it too much. That I'm literally mentally having to go to myself, Mark, stay away from the gym today, mate. If you're going in the day, you know for a fact you're going to risk yourself for having to do the job. Your job has to take priority first. Get yourself more thingy, get more chance to get used to what you're doing now. Let your body repair itself a little bit, then hit your gym hard. You know? So I might get to the gym 3, sometimes 4 days in a week if I'm lucky. Sometimes I'm getting there less, sometimes I'm getting there, maybe sometimes I get there to 5. It literally depends week to week how my knee's doing, how my lower back's doing, just how I feel in general. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching this one. I really do appreciate it. It's an update for you. I hope I've covered everything. If there's any questions you've got, please feel free, put them down below and I'll answer them as soon as I can. But in any case, this is the Bearded Nerdy Oaf, and I'm out of here.
So what I believe you were trying to say is thank you.
Thank you?
You're welcome.
What? No. I didn't. I wasn't Why would I ever?
Okay,
I mean,
okay.